A warm welcome from Castle Kornberg in the name of Future Skills Farming to our first Leadership Transformation Summit. I'm Karola Sakotnik and I'm really happy to host you here. Well, I'm the founder of Future Skills Farming. I'm a leadership transformation coach. And at my side today, I have the honor to welcome our landlord of today, Consul Magister Andreas Bardeau, and he will be so kind to give us his opening words so we can start off with also his best wishes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on behalf of my family's castle, Kronberg. My family bought this castle 1871. Since that time, it is our challenge to restore and to receive this building. Since 40 years, we open our castle to the public. And so it is a pleasure for me to be a part of this special event today. Leadership Transformation Summit, Tradition and Innovation. And it is very important to know and to understand our history, to be ready for innovation and to be a better future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, we are in a castle. You know, guess what his next duty is? He's giving a tour at his castle, which is really, as you saw in our introduction, worth seeing. Hope to see you here on location soon. Thank you. So, Future Skills Farming, I think I give you a short introduction about what we're doing. It's about working with companies and bringing something we call future skills to these companies in order to support you. In order to support you by working with your people and giving them access to the full human potential, which is in opposite to a human, to a technology potential so large. And we're just convinced that in our society and the approach to learning to development, we definitely don't give enough focus on what we are able as human beings. So this whole summit will talk on human versus digital, or human and digital. How can we combine what to expect from technology, from computer technology, what to expect from human technology, and to explain and explore a little bit more what human processing means and what technology processing means. You know, we are very ambivalent, we're creative, we're emotional, we're empathetic. And the technology is binary, so it's or one or the other. It's always a contradiction and you have to choose which one you want to do. In the human way, we can also do contradiction, yes or no, but sometimes it's much more. It's 10 right answers to one question. It's a lot of emotional approaches. It's a lot of our background that comes in. And if we learn to manage ourselves, if we learn to steer ourselves, and if we learn to live our whole potential, we are convinced that this will bring a lot into a living mode in a world that is up to us, to be generated by us, to be created by us, but also a lot in business, as, you know, being ourselves and using our potential doesn't cost any more money, but it brings a lot. And in business, that's one of the huge parts it's all about financial success, but we will also explore a little bit deeper what success for us as human beings really means. So this whole summit will be hosted by the transformation pilots. It's my colleague, Harald Karrer. He will be visualizing at the side, and we will always see what he is doing. And by my colleague, Gerald Pfleger. He's our IT specialist. I'm the human specialist, and Harald is the visualization specialist. If you don't know, if you saw also that I'm the chief creativity officer, Harald is our chief visuals officer, and Gerald is our chief information officer. So you will get us along, and what we do is actually we facilitate meetings that are working with transformation companies who need to reinvent themselves, not only on a product level, but really dig deeper and see, okay, what is there with the knowledge they have to bring it up now and to develop something that's worth for a world worth living in future. And we have our speakers. And I introduce and ask at my side the first speaker of today. He is from Vulcanland. He is, I always call him agricultural philosopher, and then he smiles and he said, no, I'm not. He is. He's also a regional developer. He is a person who digs deep in where identity comes from, why to work with handcrafts, why to work with immaterial cultural heritage, and why to use it all, not to preserve a museum, but to produce good products, which he also does. And at the other side, he's a marketing specialist, means he knows also how to tackle certain topics and why to tackle them. So it's marketing that's based on values and marketing that's based on identity, I would say. Please welcome at my side Mr. Roman Schmidt, who is going to talk about his newest book. It's about fear eats future, and it's a lot about the fear of farmers to not dare to think big. Roman, please join me. And until he's coming, I also want you to do one thing, because we will do a lot of interactive parts. Welcome, Roman.
Thank you.
Please, on your name, write also your role so we can know who you are, like where do you come from work-wise, and you write in the role you prefer that we read. Please also make sure that you have your mobile device with you. So not only the laptop, but you also have a phone with you. We will have some interactive parts with that. And of course, that you mute yourself while we're talking, so we have a nice recording afterwards, sound-wise. And whenever you have a question and so on, of course, you can ask these questions. Just to explain also, we will always have two speakers, and then we will have an interactive session, so you can wait with your questions until there. Gerald will take care. If you have a question, you write it in the chat. I will get the information. Gerald will take care of that. Yes, and then let's head off with Roman. Just so you know, Roman is the only speaker who will speak in German. I will do my best to translate his ideas, which fortunately I'm familiar with. Roman, head off.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. My English is quite lousy, so it's, for instance, better to speak in German because the only German I speak is Styrian German. This is a special German. Anyway, the first thing to do is to use this thing.
Yes, please.
We
every
have
speaker.
Corona time.
You know, it's also about innovation today, and it's one of the innovation Roman did, because as I said, he produces wonderful things. He produces great organic beer and great organic whiskey. And since Corona times, he also produces great organic
This is non-aged whiskey, so
infection.
after the Corona crisis, you can drink it.
Disinfection, not infection. He doesn't produce Roman.
So that's the end of my English. Sorry, do you hear me? I have a, yes, I have a
technical
headset.
Challenges. He is mic'd.
Thank you. Danke. Ja, Karola, viel Spaß jetzt die nächsten 15 Minuten.
Well, he's wishing me good luck, okay? Take the challenge.
Das Buch ist sekundär. Wesentlich ist, dass wir heute in einer besonderen Region sind und dass ich versuchen möchte herzuleiten, warum diese Region so besonders ist und worauf es ankommt, nicht nur in einer Region, sondern auch in einer menschlichen Entwicklung, um ein gelingendes Leben zu schaffen.
So we are in a special region here, and it's what is it? It's not about the book, but it's about the content of how the book grew. And it's about this region. It's about why it's worth it to develop a small region like ours. The Steirische Vulkanland is in total about 100,000 inhabitants. It's in the southeast of Austria. It's a wine region. It's a wonderful, I would say, culinary region, wonderful cultural programs, and it's overall beautiful.
Und da sieht man schon, dass Karola wesentlich mehr sagt, als ich sage. Und ich habe ein Buch geschrieben, das nennt sich Angst frisst Zukunft. Und ich glaube, es wäre interessant, das herzuleiten, warum diese Angst so wesentlich ist, warum Angst Zukunft frisst und was sozusagen die Alternative wäre, beziehungsweise was wir tun könnten, um aus einer Situation der Angst in eine andere Situation zu kommen. Und das gilt es jetzt zu beleuchten.
So as I was talking in my introduction, it's about humans and what drives us, but also what keeps us back. And fear is one of those factors. And this is why Roman wrote this book and called it Fear Eats the Future. And he wants really to deduct why this fear can definitely inhibit development to a prosperous future.
Aus Sicht der Persönlichkeitsentwicklung gibt es zwei wesentliche Motivationen für Veränderung, für den Wandel, für die Transformation. Diese eine Motivation ist eben die Angst und die zweite Motivation, und das wäre wesentlich zu erkennen, ist die Liebe.
Well, if we're talking personal development, you have two motors for radical change, for an openness to radical change. One motor is fear and the other is love.
Und es klingt fast unglaublich, dass es nur zwei Motivationen für Veränderung gibt. Aber wenn man beginnt, darüber nachzudenken und all unsere Lebensereignisse beginnt herunterzubrechen, dann kommt man am Ende tatsächlich immer zur Angst oder zur Liebe.
So, and it might sound strange that there is only two motivations that we are open to change. But whenever you go deeper and you really deduct what led this person to be open and able to do something completely new, it's always or fear or love.
Und ich würde es jetzt gerne veranschaulichen. Es ist das einfachste Instrument der Veränderung ist sozusagen Bildung. Und warum das in Deutsch Bildung heißt, sagt das Wort an sich schon. Es geht darum, neue Bilder zu finden. Und ich möchte Angst und Liebe in einem Bild darstellen.
It's very nice. If you're talking German, you know, change and education is very, very, very closely linked. And in German, education means imagination. It talks a lot about images and how you get given images so you develop. And this is what he's trying to do now, to give you images about how to develop.
Das ist der Zettel vom Herrn Magister Bardeau und mit dem werden wir Angst und Liebe darstellen.
So it's again those two images, fear and love, and it's actually the sheet our Count Bardeau used before, and now it's about going to show you fear and love.
So. Okay. Wenn wir hier hineinschauen, dann haben wir Angst.
So if you take it and have the look from his side to the small exit, this is how your sight narrows down whenever you're having fear.
Was macht Angst? Angst verengt den Blick.
Fear, angst, panic, it really narrows down your view.
Und damit ist Zukunft nicht mehr möglich.
And with a very narrow view, with a narrow perspective, outlook, future is not.
Und wir werden zum Spielball unseres Schicksals.
And we become kind of victims of our destiny.
Weil wir keine Optionen mehr haben.
Yeah. It's someone like someone outside playing with us. There's no options we can choose.
Und das Buch habe ich ja für die Landwirtschaft geschrieben. Die Landwirtschaft der Gegenwart schaut durch diesen Trichter.
And he wrote this book for agriculture because agriculture of nowadays always uses this kind of view on things, on development, on their options.
Und was bedeutet es, wenn man von hier durchschaut? Das heißt, die einzige Option, die einem bleibt, ist Effizienzgewinn.
And if you have this view, you know, and you look from the broad entrance to a small exit, the only option you have is working more efficient.
Und jetzt gehen wir zur Liebe.
And now we switch to love.
Wenn wir hier durchschauen, dann haben wir ein ganz weites Sichtfeld.
Looking from a small entrance and opening up, you have a very broad perspective.
Plötzlich haben wir viele Optionen.
We have a lot of options we see, they're visible to us, accessible.
Wir haben ein weites Sichtfeld.
A very broad view or perspective.
Und was das Entscheidende ist, der Blick von hier nach hier bringt Effektivität.
And looking from small to large, it's about effectivity.
Das ist der stärkere Hebel.
And this usually is a strong pigs raised.
Und was passiert jetzt in der Landwirtschaft? Wir versuchen, bestehende Systeme noch effizienter zu führen.
Well, in agriculture, you try existing systems more efficient, more efficient, more efficient.
Dönjes ist das beste Beispiel dafür.
Who?
Dönjes, der große Fleischkonzern.
Dönjes in Germany. It's like one of the best examples. It's all only about efficiency, and you're dealing with living creatures.
Und dann beginnt sich das Tierleid mit dem Menschenleid zu verschränken. Dann ist es Leid auf allen Ebenen.
And whenever they're suffering from the animals, and you're going into efficiency and there's people working there, of course, then it's linked. The suffering is for both, for the animals, for the humans.
Und das ist der Blick von hier nach hier.
And this is then again a lot of options from this side. You look down and it's narrowing down to one option.
Jetzt schauen wir die Produktion von hier nach hier an.
And turning it the other way around, from a small perspective, my personal, to a lot of options.
Dann sehen wir große Ställe, große Hallen mit viel Möglichkeitsräumen.
And then we see just big buildings, big spaces with a lot of options and possibility of usage.
Und dann sehen wir vielleicht in diesen Hallen nicht mehr Schweine, sondern Pilze.
And then maybe we don't see pigs anymore raised there, but maybe mushrooms.
Und dann sehen wir nicht mehr einen Kilogrammpreis von 1,49 €, sondern dann sehen wir einen Kilogrammpreis von jenseits von 20 €.
And when you go down and you just take the numbers, 1 kilogram of pork is about 145 in euros, and 1 kilogram of those cultivated mushrooms is about 20 euros.
So ist es unsere Aufgabe, diesen Trichter von der richtigen Seite anzuschauen in dieser Region und Möglichkeitsräume zu schaffen.
So it's our task and our responsibility, and I hope also our commitment, to turn this view around, that we take the attitude of love and look around and see what options are there. This would save a small region like ours.
Und das gilt nicht nur für die Landwirtschaft, das gilt auch für das Unternehmertum, das gilt auch für uns persönlich.
And that counts not only for agriculture, that's also for everything that's business and for us personally.
Was wir brauchen, Gerald Hüther sagt es ganz schön, wir brauchen Potenzialentfaltungsgemeinschaften.
And what we need, and Professor Gerald Hüther, he describes it very, very well. We need communities of potential development.
Und das sind Gemeinschaften, die einander ermutigen, befähigen, inspirieren, über sich hinauszuwachsen.
It's like a community that inspires within themselves, also to grow out of themselves. So encouragement, inspiration, daring to go somewhere, taking responsibility and commitment. That's the goal.
Wir leben in einer Gesellschaft, in der das umgekehrt funktioniert.
And our society usually does it the other way around.
Wir haben Gemeinschaften, die beim anderen den Fehler sucht, die auf der Suche nach den Schuldigen ist und die niemandem das Glück gönnt,
Because we have communities that are looking within themselves, okay, where's the mistake, where's the error, and not giving the other the value of prospering.
Und je näher mir der Wohlstand kommt, je näher mir die Innovationskraft kommt, umso angsterfüllter bin ich fast, weil da könnte ja der Nachbar Geld verdienen und das bin ja nicht ich.
Well, and the more wealth comes in, and the more, I would say, a certain kind of rigidity comes in, there is also jealousy, because maybe my neighbor is richer than I am, earns more money.
In einer belgischen Klöpplerei, glaube ich, heißt das, okay. Ein Handwerksbetrieb, die klöppeln, steht über der Tür, ich wünsche mir Neid.
In Belgium, there's a handcraft factory, and they're producing fabric. And when you're at the entrance, there's written, I desire to have jealousy.
Warum? Neid ist der größte Kraftstoff neben der Sonne.
And why? Because people who are envious, they are as strong as the sun with the power, you know?
Die größte Energiequelle.
It's a lot of energy. And someone's really envious and wants what you have, or wants to have more.
Aber was ist entscheidend? Entscheidend ist, dass ich meinen Nachbarn alles Gute wünsche. Ich wünsche meinen Nachbarn unendlichen Reichtum, weil, wenn meine Nachbarn unendlich reich werden, werde unweigerlich auch ich wohlhabender.
And Roman just suggests to turn it around. You know, wish your neighbor not only luck, but wish them richness. Wish them success, because his success will mirror onto you and bring you your success.
Und ein wesentliches Entwicklungsinstrument haben wir in der Regionalentwicklung des steirischen Vulkanlandes gesehen, ist die Sprache.
And one means of development that's so powerful is language.
Ludwig Wittgenstein hat gesagt, die Grenzen deiner Sprache sind die Grenzen deiner Welt.
And Ludwig Wittgenstein, he said, yeah, you know, the barriers of your language are also the barriers of your world.
Was ich nicht sagen kann, kann nicht Wirklichkeit werden.
What I cannot name, what I cannot express verbally, cannot become reality.
Und der Talmud fängt noch etwas früher an.
And Talmud even starts earlier.
Der sagt, achte auf deine Gedanken, denn sie werden Worte. Achte auf die Worte, sie werden zu Handlungen.
Because Talmud says, be careful with your thoughts. They become words. And your words then become your actions.
Und was? Achte auf deine Handlungen, denn sie werden Gewohnheiten. Achte auf deine Gewohnheiten, sie werden zu deinem Charakter.
Because your habits. No, again, your
Achte
habits.
Auf deine Gewohnheiten, sie werden zu deinem Charakter.
Because your habits become your character. So your actions become your habits, and your habits then form your character.
Und aus deinem Charakter wird am Ende dein Schicksal.
And your character, well, designs your destiny.
Und deshalb ist es so wichtig, dass wir auf unsere Sprache achten.
And that's why it's so important and crucial that we really put a focus on language, that we take the right attitude to express things.
Und vielleicht tue ich mir deshalb so schwer, Englisch zu sprechen, weil ich so eine Angst um die Präzision der Sprache habe.
And maybe this is his fear, why he doesn't want to speak in English, not because he doesn't speak it, but it's a bit being afraid of not being precise enough in a not mother tongue language.
Und wenn wir unsere Sprache entfesseln, im Positiven, dann entfesseln wir auch unsere Potenziale und unsere Möglichkeitsräume.
And if we successfully open up all the potential in our language, then we also open the potential of images and thus our spaces for options and possibilities.
Und das möchte ich abschließend eines rezitieren, und ich weiß nicht mal, wie wir das im Englischen jetzt machen, aber die Karola kann auch das. Es ist nämlich so ein schönes Gedicht, das diese Potenzialentfaltung andeutet und sozusagen auch in der umgekehrten Variante sichtbar macht, wie wahnsinnig verrückt es ist, wenn man seine eigenen Potenziale nicht entfalten kann. Du kennst ihn. Das ist der Panther von Rainer Maria Rilke, der das so schön darstellt.
He's now going to recite a poem from by Rainer Maria Rilke, The Panther. And I'm just trying to translate it. Maybe you better Google it. I'm not sure this time, I'm not sure that my words will really live up to Rainer Maria Rilke, but I do my best so you understand the images, because it's a poem about the potential to really open up to options and to not daring in the end, and what this means.
Ich rezitiere es einfach. Das geht ungefähr so. Sein Blick ist vom Vorübergehen der Stäbe so müd geworden, dass er nichts mehr hält. Ihm ist, als ob es 1000 Stäbe gäbe und hinter 1000 Stäben keine Welt.
So just imagine this panther, you know, in his cage. And because he's always seeing those stiff lines, you know, in his view, he thinks that all the world is just made with these interruptions.
Der weiche Gang geschmeidig starker Schritte, der sich im allerkleinsten Kreise dreht, ist wie ein Tanz von Kraft um eine Mitte, in der betäubt ein großer Wille steht.
And this animal, this creature with this power, it's turning around itself. It doesn't have enough space, but there you can just feel the power. You can feel this immense possibilities. Just no option to live it.
Nur manchmal schiebt der Vorhang der Pupille sich lautlos auf, dann geht ein Bild hinein, geht durch der Glieder angespannte Stille und hört im Herzen auf zu sein.
And just sometimes there is this vision from a past where his eyes open up to the possibility that there is no cage. And it goes through the whole system into the heart and stops.
Dieses Gedicht sagt aus meiner Sicht sehr schön, dass wir uns in keine Korsetts drängen lassen sollten, dass wir im Geiste offen bleiben sollten, dass wir unsere Sprache entwickeln sollten, weil die Vielfalt in der Sprache die Vielfalt in der Gesellschaft mehrt und steigert. Und das wäre mein Appell, auch für die Landwirtschaft. Landwirtschaft der Zukunft ist eine Landwirtschaft, die gelernt hat zu philosophieren, über Produkte, über sich, über das Leben.
So his suggestion is, Roman's suggestion is, to not let yourself be tied up by things others tell you that this is your limits. Don't do it. Open up to your options, dare to dig deeper to find your options, and especially in agriculture, take the chance that you have these options.
Es ist 14:30 Uhr, ich sage herzlich Danke.
And he finishes right on time. Thank you very much, Roman.
Danke.
Usually now there's big applause and I'm really irritated it's not there. I hope you can really join in and enjoy what's going on here. You see, we have people clicking in and getting out again this afternoon. That's what it is with an online summit. I'm asking now my second speaker. He joins from Rostock. And he's also talking about fear, a completely different approach. And if you like, Roman, stay with me. After I have introduced our speaker and his speech, we will have an interactive exchange and just see with these different approaches to fear, what we can harvest from this. Because future skills farming, and let me do this introduction so you understand a little bit more what we are doing. Future skills farming is about cultivating. It's about working like a farmer, but working with ourselves. So the soil for our actions is us, is our emotions, our creativity, our empathy, and our intuition. And on those pillars, if we really deeply dare to develop as human beings, we are like a seed that's tended, that's grown, that can grow, that needs water, that needs organic fertilizer because it brings more fruit. And then sometimes when we're lucky, we can harvest. And if it's a year like 2020, believe me, you can harvest so much. You just There's so much development and so much growing on our trees in this year that some of the trees break because it's too much. So we also have to take care to not be too quick, take care, be kind, be mindful with ourselves. So, but mindfulness is one part, and the other part is what our next speaker is going to talk about. It's Mr. Burkhard Müller. He's a captain, a marine captain, and he is now working with companies which are in crisis. And exactly at this point of crisis where there is danger of life and death. So he's dealing with a lot of people not being able to think anymore, going into panic, but still with the responsibility to save thousands and thousands of lives, like on a cruise ship, for example. I met him there. He was one of my favorite captains, also because he had both approaches. You have to train when you're in panic. No, you have to train before, so when you're in panic, you can still access what you need to do to save these lives. Also with this, when you train that, you have to have a human approach, because we don't learn when we feel under pressure. We don't learn when we are in panic. So welcome with me, Mr. Burkhard Müller, and he's talking about crisis management, how fear influences our brain, how to train for emergency, and how to use technology as a supporting feature.